Welcome to the WTIM Morning Show. I'm Avery Cooper here with you. Your stream co-sponsored by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville, where you always do better with Landmark. I'm on the phone with Director of Ancillary Services, Laura Pauly, and Director of Clinical Operations, Emily Bailey from Taylorville Memorial Hospital. Welcome to the program to you both.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Great to have you here. So, briefly, what does ancillary services do, Laura?
Actually, those are just services that are outside of the world of nursing, basically. So,
okay. And you're the director of that. So basically you are the director of services that are outside of the world of nursing. Did I get that right?
yeah, and today we're just going to focus on the cardiology service line since it was finishing up today, February 28th, Heart Month.
Right. We're going to get to that here in a moment. And as director of clinical operations, Emily, what do you do?
I essentially have all the areas that Laura does not. So I oversee our cardiac rehab program in addition to some other programs here at TMH.
Awesome. So the cardiology services available currently at TMH. Describe what services are currently available and what changes are going to happen here.
Well, actually, pretty basic cardiology service line. We have routine EKGs, which pretty much everyone who has chest pain or has any type of an issue would have an EKG. And then stress testing, which kind of gets into the idea of what would happen if we stressed your heart. Say, for example, people having chest pain that just keeps recurring, we would want to put them on a treadmill. Or now kind of the gold standard is we give them a medication through their vein to stress their heart, which is actually just increasing their heart rate, that type of thing, and then watching their heart rhythm just to make sure that it stays steady and look for those type of abnormalities in their heart. So we also have cardiac monitors, which if someone is having, say, heart palpitations, things like that, we have various heart monitors that we can use, anywhere from 24 hours to 30 days, where the patient would take that home and wear that home for that length of time. Then if they would have any kind of a symptom, they push a button and it's automatically recorded, and then the monitoring company that monitors that for us sends us that recording, and then we reach out to the physician so the physician can call that patient, make adjustments, that type of thing.
Now, are these are regular services that you offer? You mentioned to me before the break how this kind of ties into American Heart Month, which ends today.
Correct.
Right. And so, this is these services you just described are going to continue outside of American Heart Month, though.
Correct.
Okay.
We're just trying to highlight those.
Right. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Cardiovascular disease continues to be the biggest threat of not only women's health, but men's health as well. So that's why that we want to stress the importance of we have what we need here right in your hometown to take care of any cardiology needs or cardiac needs. Of course, if you have chest pain, any kind of symptoms that would mimic a heart attack, you're always supposed to call 911 and go to the hospital immediately so we can look to see. Everyone's symptoms are a little bit different. So that's why we encourage, especially the differences between men and women. So that's why we always want people to, if they have any chest pain, indigestion, anything that they may feel like they're having a cardiac event, to call 911 and come to the hospital for that to be checked out. And of course, the preventive measures from cardiovascular disease would be, we all know these: eat healthy, don't smoke, and exercise more, and maintain a healthy weight. So they say now a sedentary lifestyle is the new smoking, what smoking used to do for you. Now we're all sitting more and we need to get up and move more.
I think I've heard sitting is the new smoking. I haven't heard that one though before. Right. I think like in terms of I've heard it in context of people at work, right? There's that wave of standing desks, right? And everybody's like, oh, sitting's the new smoking. But I like how you're taking it one step further. It's not just the sitting aspect of it, it's the sedentary, it's the, eating the bag of chips and watching TV kind of thing.
Correct. The gaming, ongoing gaming for for the younger population and not getting out and playing basketball, playing sports, doing those kinds of things. We're going to see that in our teenagers to where they're not moving enough. And so cardiovascular disease is going to start at an earlier age, we are predicting.
So if cardiovascular disease does start to impact an individual, how can they monitor it?
Well, actually, their main thing would be to not smoke and to exercise more, but your blood pressure is a pretty good indicator. If we are seeing young children have hypertension, and so that's one of the things we need to get a handle on. And like I said, the preventative measures are exercise more and maintaining a healthy weight. So we do see some people who are relatively thin, but they still have cardiovascular disease. So you can't always associate someone's weight with not having a healthy heart. Excuse me.
Right, and some things you could probably do just to monitor. You mentioned blood pressure, but I would imagine stuff like EKGs and
Correct.
cardiac monitors and echoes and stuff like that can also help you monitor your status.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So, Emily, shifting over to you, let's say you have a cardiac event or just anybody, right? And it's time to recover. So, what can they do to increase that process time speed up? You know what I mean? What can they do?
Sure.
What is cardiac rehab? What does it look like, etc.?
Cardiac rehab is a medically supervised program that's designed to improve cardiovascular health, specifically for those, as you mentioned, who have experienced a heart attack, heart failure, or have required a heart procedure or surgery.
Okay, and so the goal here is to get better, I would assume.
Absolutely. It's to help you make lifestyle choices to improve your overall health and lower the risk of a second cardiac event.
So it sounds like a lot of this is just taking the things that Laura talked about, eating healthy, exercise, and implementing that into the stage after your life where you've had a cardiac event.
Absolutely. So cardiac rehab programs usually include 36 sessions over 12 weeks where you meet with a medical team, and the meetings consist of three important parts, like you've mentioned. Exercise counseling to get that cardiovascular system working, heart healthy education that looks not only at diet, but again, as Laura mentioned, smoking, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, physical inactivity, diabetes, and other sources that may cause put you at higher risk for heart disease. Additionally, cardiac rehab education focuses on recognizing symptoms for and provides education on what to do when experiencing symptoms that may suggest a heart attack or stroke. And then finally, stress reduction counseling. So stress may affect those risk factors and behaviors such as smoking and high blood pressure. So you'll receive some counseling to help reduce that stress through cardiac rehab.
That is for the Taylorville Memorial Hospital Cardiac Rehab Program, I understand.
Correct. So
Right.
we are a AACVPR, which is the American Association of Cardiovascular and Pulmonary Rehabilitation accredited program. To earn accreditation, Taylorville Memorial Hospital's cardiac rehab and pulmonary rehab programs participate in an application process requiring extensive documentation of the program's practices and outcomes. AACVPR certified programs are leaders in cardiovascular and pulmonary rehabilitation fields because they offer the most advanced practice available and have proven track records for high quality patient care.
So say there's somebody has a cardiac event. Do they need a referral to start a cardiac rehab program?
Yes, physician referral is required to start the program. However, if you feel your cardiac history meets any of the criteria we've listed, don't be afraid to ask your doctor for a referral.
And just one more time for those who may have just tuned in, what is that criteria again?
Anybody who has had a heart attack, heart failure, or has required heart procedure or surgery.
Gotcha. And is cardiac rehab covered by a lot of insurance?
Medicare and most other insurers provide reimbursement for cardiac rehab, but I suggest that you check with your medical team and insurer to determine if cardiac rehab is covered under your insurance plan.
That is Director of Clinical Operations, Emily Bailey from Taylorville Memorial Hospital. She's here with Ancillary Services Director, Laura Pauly, here on the WTIM Morning Show. More from them, and then, we're going to take a quick break, but more from them coming up next, right here on WTIM, your information station. Your stream co-sponsored by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville, where you always do better with Landmark.
Let's check the markets now on the RFD Radio Network on this Monday morning. I'm Jim Taylor. Corn, beans, and wheat all double-digit higher. March corn 6.89 3/4, up 30 1/4. May corn up 30 3/4, 6.86 1/2. December corn 5.99 1/2, up 19 3/4. March beans 16.40 1/4, up 50. May beans up 53 1/4, 16.37 3/4. November beans 14.50 1/2, up 35 1/2. March wheat 8.87 1/2, up 44 1/2. May wheat up 44 1/2, 9.04 1/4. July wheat 8.94 3/4, up 44 3/4. March bean meal 4.55 even, up 6.70. March bean oil up 2.32, 71.07. In the livestock market at this hour, February live cattle up 107, 140.35. March feeders down 2.57, 157.45. April lean hogs 103.57, down a dime. Look at the markets on this Monday morning. Jim Taylor, RFD Radio.
Hi, this is Bob at Apple Auto Service. We offer brake service, wheel alignment, shock and strut replacement, ball joints, hub bearings, and springs. Apple Auto Service. We do oil changes, flush radiators with new antifreeze, chains, transmission filters, and fluid. Apple Auto Service. We install air filters and wiper blades. Apple Auto Service. Oh yeah, we install mufflers, exhaust, and custom exhaust too. So come to Apple Auto Service and let us get your car ready for the driving ahead. Apple Auto Service, where quality and value go the extra mile for you.
I'm Will Perkins, President and CEO of the Taylorville Community Credit Union. TCCU is proud to be the exclusive sponsor of the Miller Media Group Community Spotlight, allowing a different nonprofit organization to be highlighted on WTIM, WMKR, and WRAN each month.
Hi, I'm Kathy Coker, Executive Director at Loving Arms Pregnancy Center. We provide free and confidential services pertaining to pregnancy and related issues. We provide on-site pregnancy tests, options counseling, ultrasound and medical referrals, as well as parenting education and so much more. Loving Arms Pregnancy Center has 2 locations, in Taylorville at 500 North Walnut Street and in Pana at 201 South Locust Street. You can reach us by calling 217-824-7200 or by visiting lovingarmsillinois.com.
This is Cammie Payne, General Manager of the Miller Media Group. We, along with TCCU, are proud to bring you the Community Spotlight each month.
TCCU is proud to be the exclusive sponsor of the Miller Media Group Community Spotlight. Come join us. You'll wonder why you waited. Member NCUA.
Making radio and our digital platforms work for my clients is fun. I'm Teresa Nelson, an account manager with the Miller Media Group. With nearly 30 years of media experience, I've made advertising media sales a great career. We have an opportunity for one person to join us. If you think you have what it takes to be successful in a fast-paced business and enjoy challenges, you might be the person we're looking for. One thing's for sure, there is never a dull moment in a radio station. Send us your resume for a first interview to sales@randyradio.com. We're an equal opportunity employer.
Welcome back to the WTIM Morning Show. I'm Avery Cooper, your host. Your stream co-sponsored by Landmark of Taylorville, where you always do better with Landmark, and People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first. I'm on the phone with Taylorville Memorial Hospital Director of Ancillary Services, Laura Pauly, and Director of Clinical Operations, Emily Bailey. So before we went to break, we talked a little bit about American Heart Month, and we talked about your hospital and the rehab services for cardiac events. So briefly here, I guess I wanted to kind of just ask either of you, what are some signs that people should be aware of that, hey, I might be at risk here of having a cardiac event? Let's start off with that.
Well, cardiac risk would be if you have someone in your family who has cardiovascular disease or cardiac disease. And the heart has a lot of different things that can go wrong with it or have issues with it. There's the electrical conductivity. There are valves in your heart, and then there's the actual muscle that does the contraction. That whenever you have a heart attack, there are actually arteries outside of the heart that heart attack will get a clot or or they'll have buildup of cholesterol deposits in those arteries, and then that's what causes your heart muscle to not get what it needs as far as blood circulation, and that's what creates the attack. And then the conductivity, the electrical impulses are another issue you can have with your heart, and in addition to valve problems. So your heart valves can wear out over time, and hereditary factors factor in there. One of the other things is diabetes. If you have a diabetes history and you're diabetic, you have an increased chance of having cardiovascular disease. So we always try to make sure that the diabetics are assessed in that way. And one of the things particular to diabetic patients is they may not have the same chest pain symptoms, that type of thing, whenever they do have a heart attack. So it's almost what they call a silent issue, some silent ischemia or issues with their heart. So hereditary and diabetes is one of the big risk factors. And of course, if people smoke, that's going to deprive your heart of oxygen over time, and you're going to have some issues with your heart. So, Emily, do you have anything else?
No, I would just say that, as Laura mentioned, those are kind of the causes, but some of the symptoms that you may experience. Everybody knows about the heart or the chest pain, as Laura mentioned, the signals of left arm weakness, but also somewhat just dizziness, lightheadedness, shortness of breath. Really, there are so many different symptoms that may actually be heart attack or other cardiovascular events. So really, if you're just feeling off, make sure you, like Laura said earlier, call 911, go to the emergency department and get checked out.
What would you say is the most important thing for me to do that I have within my control? You mentioned a bunch of things that are hereditary, right? And I know if I smoke, maybe I can take that into my own hands and eliminate that. But what would you say is the number one thing I can do to make sure that my heart is healthy?
Eat right, exercise, and stop the smoking.
Those are all three things. I say one thing, but those things are all equally important, it seems like.
Absolutely.
And when you do them all together, it could hopefully probably make for a healthy heart. And that's the goal here.
And we always like to point out to know your risk factors. Everybody's risk factors are different. You can eat healthy and not smoke and have a healthy weight, but have a pretty big hereditary history in your family of having cardiac disease. Make sure you know that and you're aware of that. So, when you do have an issue, you don't just, pass it by and say, oh, it's just indigestion, or, oh, it's just stress, or, oh, it's just whatever, and unfortunately, I think women have a tendency to kind of blow this off a little bit more than perhaps men do. Just, for whatever reason, that's kind of what we do. So.
All right. Wanted to give you just a quick moment to give any final thoughts, and we can, if you have any, that is, and we can start with you, Laura.
No, my thing is, my main message I think today is try to, it's the first of the year. If you have anything that you want to, I don't like resolutions. I think that you just need to make some lifestyle changes if that's what you want to do. And now, as it looks like we're coming into spring, get out there, all of us, whether we have any kind of cardiac history or anything, just more exercise, watching our diet and our weight are all healthy things to do for a variety of reasons, not just cardiac disease.
Briefly, Emily, any thoughts?
And to tag on to that, if you do need any services from the Taylorville Memorial Hospital, we're ready and able to serve you. To learn more about cardiovascular health and cardiac rehab, you can visit the American Heart Association at heart.org or contact Taylorville Memorial Hospital for more information.
All right. That is Laura Polly and Emily Bailey. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
The Big 870 WTIM Assumption Taylorville, 96.